Well, guys, I think we've finally fixed a horrible little microphone problem that we've had for quite a while. It was hiccuping and making a noise, background noise, problems with AGC, etc. Turned out to be Windows. We reinstalled the driver for the lapel mic, and away she goes. And so our audio should be a little bit better than what it was. You can probably even hear the fan in the background that I've got going there. So, yeah. Anyway, this is where we're up to with the TV now. We're doing the front panel. We've cleaned him up somewhat. And as you can see, some missing numbers there. Little spring circlips out of the back that you actually pop them out and the numbers come out, as you can see here. And I'm cleaning them up and just cleaning the numbers. They were covered in dust and dirt, so I've decided to just remove them. I mean, this is what you look at the front of the TV. I wanted it fairly neat, so yeah, that's it. Now, what I'm doing here is a little bit of metho. So, methylated spirits on a cotton bud, and we're running over the front of it. So here we've got 5A. Okay, Australian channel 5A. Well, I guess it's not Australian. I'm not real sure about the rest of the world, but here on this TV it's 5A. Clean the back, clean off the front, and while we're cleaning it, it does remove a little bit of the black lettering, but that's not a problem. So what we do now is we sit him down, get our good old Sharpie, put a bit of light on the subject, and I will have to do this under a Maggie lamp if I can, yeah, I'll try and keep you guys in the picture. So what we're doing here, tracing over the number, like so. Almost have to hold my breath while I'm doing this. Stop moving. And now we've got a nice black lettering on our 5A. And on this one, this is the Kriesler. It's actually written on the back of these as to where the little discs go. So that one's 5A, 6, 7, and then we go back up here to 8, 9, and 10, 11, and 0. Okay, so 5A goes in there. There's a little notch on the top. Drop him in. There's a little, these have got a little spring circlip. Push these in and push him home. Not much to that. Makes a lot of difference to the cosmetic appearance of the TV because, well, these are lit up and these are the things you see first up. Okay, so I think he's not quite in there. There he goes. And there he is, 5A. Well, I guess the next place to start is with the tuner assembly of this telly. Here's the chassis. She's cleaned up a little bit. Doesn't look too bad there. We know that basically, well, tried to work anyway. We've got HT and horizontal and vertical, so that's the main thing. This thing, wouldn't change channels, wouldn't do anything when you press the button. So yeah, it's a matter of getting into this, working out what's wrong, getting the motor out of it, lubricating it, taking the tuner out, cleaning the tuner biscuits inside the tuner, and getting it well working good enough again. Now there's the front here, actually these little lights light up behind whatever channel you're on. You guys probably seen one of these anyway, but that's how it works. There's obviously a little switch behind here, printed board, and as it turns, it lights up whatever light on whatever channel. So there's a little bit of timing issues there that we're going to have to take notes on as well. This fine tuning doesn't work. Now, what that is in there is a little chain, and he runs across a little gear on this shaft here, and it's come off. I don't know whether that little pulley's okay. If not, we're going to have to find something that would work in there, or get one printed up or something. So this fella, indicator light is a neon. Our on-off switch, well, we know that works. We know the tuner doesn't rotate, as I said, and I can't show you much here. There's our motor. We'll have a little bit of better look at this once it's on the bench. But the little motor there, it turns, but very hard to turn. So yeah, that certainly wasn't engaging. There's a little clutch assembly in there that's totally seized. So yeah, it's a matter of working on this and getting this part all up and working. A little bit of a job we've got ahead of us here. So I think the first thing is remove this panel. I'll work out, it's probably in the book, on the timing of this, because when the tuner turns, yeah, we've got to see what sort of switch assembly is behind here as to which light. I don't know what channel it's on at the moment. So what light is what? We've got no idea yet. The pots, yeah, they take all the knobs off, give all this a clean, and of course the pots are clean. So righto, we'll get this off and give you a little bit closer view of what's in behind here with a Computer-matic Kriesler. How's that for looking after your customers? In behind here, it's not actually a neon. It's a spare bulb for one of these. That is customer care, isn't it? Imagine getting that these days. Try and get him out. There you go. Imagine that, eh? I don't know what voltage they are or anything. And first of all, we'll take all these little rubber surrounds out. They've got to be clean. And I don't want to lose any of these when we're carting it around. Which one has already fallen on the floor now? I'm thinking this comes off. Take a screw out of there, and off he comes. Obviously that only goes on in one position. And there we go. There's our circuit board. Now you can see as the switch turns, it turns each light on with its contact. Just wondering what this fella is. It's just a mounting point. Okay, now here's our little fine tuning chain, and I think I can see the problem. He's broken. That's why this fella is not having any effect on the fine tuning. Mind you, you can't move the fine tuning, so that would be obviously why it's broken. Even the idler, it does move. Oh, he's coming a bit better. Yeah, a little bit of TLC certainly needed on that one. So we'll take the fine tuning shaft off. We'll take our idler off, which has got to come off. And yeah, whatever happens here, I think the tuner is, I think it's coupled on the back somehow. I don't think this is the front of the tuner, but I'm not real sure yet. We'll get into him. So first of all, take off our little fine tuning shaft. Probably not going to run through this thing step by step of everything, but yeah, there could be a few guys out there that are a little bit interested in the television side of things. Okay, that fella hasn't seen grease for a long time, and neither has the pin at the back. And yes, the rubber's a bit hard, but I think that would still work okay. I think he'd work okay if we cleaned him up and yeah, did something with him. Providing this is lubricated and loose, there shouldn't be a problem. Now I'm going to take the idler off as well, because it will have to have the same treatment. There we go. Now idler just sits in there on those two screws, which is adjustable. And yeah, it's moving now, but yeah, he was certainly seized up. We'll take the board off these two, because we'll have to get into this switch, clean all this up, make sure all the lights work, clean everything up, and yeah, go from there. We'll take the knobs off, take this fella off, and there's just a couple of diagonal springs there. So now we can, yeah, remove this, turn him over, and remove this back section. Okay, well, with this little display board on this TV, obviously the correct lamps light up when the tuner turns this fella. Now I'll just try and back you off a bit there. You're a little bit close. Okay, how's that? That looks a little bit better. Right, this turns. Now it's a switch, just contact switch. As it turns, it grounds out the negative side of the lamp and lights it up. The lamp are all 6.3 volts, so they're probably running off the filament line of the transformer. Now what's happened here is this thing has been around that many times. There's our little contact down there. And I better switch the lights on. Okay, that's better. There's the little contact. Okay, but here's the PCB. Now, it's been around that many times. That is supposed to be all one pad. Okay, but it's not. It's been around that many times that it's worn the center off the pads. So virtually no lights were lighting up. I think there was one, might be that one there. Yeah, I think he's got a little bit of trace left in the middle, but not very much. So he's just worn them out. Now, how do I go about resurrecting this? What I'm thinking about doing is stop doing these ums. I'm trying to cut down the editing time, taking all the ums out. This fella has got a little contact there. Now, really, what we need to do is extend this contact out a little bit so that he touches the outside of the contact ring. Okay, so not real sure how I'm going to do this yet. This I don't know. There's actually a lot of pressure on that little ring. On the top, there's also another one which runs around, which is your ground, which runs around the backing plate. It goes in there like that, and it runs around on it. And even it's worn a pretty fair groove in the back plate there. That's not really a problem. Our problem is how we're going to get this little circular piece and extend it out a couple of mil just this way. I'm just not real sure. These are soldered together. Really, it's got to go towards the center a little bit to make this contact further out. All right, I'll have a think about this, and yeah, we'll just pause the video for the moment while I come up with some sort of stupid idea or something. Okay. Right, well, this might be a bit crude, but I'm thinking of heating these two pins where they're soldered, gradually putting a bit of pressure on this and melting him back this way just to the edge. So we only need about a mil, maybe 2 millimeters. So let's see if this, well, if it's going to do anything. Okay, so I can heat that fella up, no problems. Heat that one up, no problems. Look at that insect. That's a spider. I know, he's a little insect. There you go. Gone now. So, if I put this here, gradually put a bit of pressure on it, will it melt towards me? Trial and error, this one. It is moving. I think we got a little bit of movement. Okay, yes, he's closer to the outside edge than what it was. Now, this is the way it goes in. And I think we're right. I think we've got him far enough. I'm going to put him together and see if the switch works. We'll put a power supply on him, see if they light up. Righto. Put the spacers in. Put the screws in. A couple of nuts. And I wonder if this will work. He is a little bit on the outside of where it was. It turns no problem. So, let's see, shall we? We'll put a ground on here and our active on here, well, our plus 6 volts, and see if this is going to work. I'll just get my power supply lead we'll see what happens. Alright guys, he's on, 5 volts, 500 milliamp, current limited. Yeah, positive on there. Now, ground on here, and as well, there's one lit up, which is good. And look at that, the next one. The next one. Oh, this is working. Oh, how good is this? Yes. Okay, and back to that one, which is channel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5A, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 0. Channel O. Okay, it's all working. So our little switch idea, bit of a modification, but I mean, this isn't going to go around 10,000 times for the rest of its life. It might move maybe 20 times with what it's got left. And yeah, that's certainly working fine. I'm very, very happy with that. Okay, excellent. We can keep going with the rest of the repair now. We'll see what's next, and I think it's the motor assembly that turns this whole thing, turns the tuner and the spindle at the front. Righto guys, now that I've fixed my little nifty light display for the front of this tuner assembly, I think it's time to get this motor assembly off and work out what's going on here, why it's not turning over, etc. Now, I do have a manual on this. It's sort of very sketchy. It doesn't tell me a lot. But this here is a socket. And on these, here we go. Now, I'm pretty sure that once this is undone, and now this, I've already taken photos of the positioning of this. Obviously, it's got to be set up for timing, and I might need a bigger screwdriver than that. So once we're putting it together, we'll try and work out some instructions on how it's all timed. Right. Now I'm pretty sure there's a couple of washers on each one of these. Pretty sure that this assembly is totally separate. So we've got some little nuts coming off here. And then I'll get some pliers and get the... Okay, everything's out of time now anyway. Okay. He's gone on the floor. Right, we mightn't rescue those for a little bit. Now, okay. It looks like this assembly is totally separate. And yes, it is. We do have a few washers floating around in this. Now, this is on channel 1. I took it off on channel 1. The stations that were activated here, as you can see by these little nylon, well, I don't know what you'd call them, little fingers, they're adjustable. So when you push them out, that will stop on that channel. So here we've got channel 1 and channel 8 up there, those two. Now we'll get this over on the bench just like it is, because I don't want to lose any of the the washers out of it. Yeah, they're in here somewhere. Okay, so we'll put him on the bench and have a closer look at this. Okay, well, Here's the item that makes this beautiful old Kriesler TV a computer-matic. Okay, so this is in the back. This turns your tuner, and it's running freely because nothing's in gear. The gear will not turn because of the motor. Now, turn him around. Here, we've got the motor. It's a fairly hefty sort of motor. That's our coupling to the tuner. Everything's, it turns, but it's tight. Everything's fairly tight. So there's our motor. It's got an old waxy cap across the motor. It's what is he? It's 1,000-volt DC, and he's an 056. Okay, 0.056 microfarad. That will certainly be going just across the motor for noise suppression. Okay, so this more or less you control, I'm guessing. I don't know this circuit, certainly not off the top of my head. The motor, got a few numbers there. Don't want to move that too much. It's a Caddy, a GMF Caddy 240-volt motor, and it looks something like 64 watts, I would say. That's the motor for it. Quite a hefty motor just to change channels. Now this motor, very difficult to turn. So this fella's got to come out. That's very hard to turn. And of course he turns our gears. I hope none of our gears are stripped. This could be a problem or a job for a 3D printer or something like this if they are. Got another little cap here, once again, noise suppression across, looks like a solenoid for these contacts here. Not real sure what everything does yet, but no doubt once we test him out. The cap is an 022 at 200 volts, so not a lot of voltage on there. It'll be spike suppression for that little fella. And there's our octal 8-pin socket. Yeah, I don't know what else I can show you guys about this. I think the first port of call will be to remove the motor and work on the motor. 2 wires, and yeah, they just go to the terminal block there. There's nothing else to it. I shall put some markings on there as to where they go, take that out, and I think those 2 nuts there will take out these spaces, and as well then we can take the motor apart, grease, oil the bearings, clean it all up, and do the same with the mechanism in here. This one does turn, as you can see, but yeah, it's sticky. Everything's very sticky in here. Okay, let's get this motor out. We'll disconnect him first, and we'll see what we can do with him. Okay. is off and motor is out. There we go. And once again, I have a couple of little washers. Unless I chase them up, they disappear on us. There's a spring washer and a flat in here. All right. Now this makes this thing an awful lot lighter, very easy to work on, as you can see. Circ-clips, we can take these out and grease and give it the whole thing, grease and oil change. They still don't move. Boy, that, oh yes they do. If I can move it, just if I put turn the motor connector, the motor coupler on here. If you turn it, they just move. I don't want to push anything until I get things apart on there. Okay, so we can put that one aside for just the moment. And this is the fellow we've got to work on. The motor certainly doesn't spin very easily. So what we've got to do here, we can go either way. Take off these, pull the bolts out, and the back bearing comes off, obviously. Yeah, and it's a nice little motor, but very heavy. Like that would be 2.5 kilo, I'd reckon. Boy, they certainly built them very strong back in the early days. They were there for a job, and it's what it was. All right, we'll pause this for a while. I'm going to have a little bit of a break, and we'll come back shortly, and we'll pull this thing apart, and then give him a run, and hopefully all is well. Oh, okay, before we do that, just to be sure, let's check the continuity to see, are we dealing with a motor that is not burnt out? Nope, there we go. 133 ohms, 132, 131. Yeah, that's fine. So we've got ourselves a good motor. It's just a matter of cleaning him up. Okay, back soon. Okay, let's get this apart. Couple of little nuts on the back of the bolts that go through the casing. Take them off. Now they're mounted on the front, by the way, and we know where the front is because the label sort of faces that way. But to smooth things over a little bit later, excuse my camera work there for a moment. Let's put an arrow on there so we know where the front is, because these things can go together either way. Although this one, maybe it doesn't. Right. Very, very sticky to get out. Boy. That's fairly solid. And now the back comes out there, and these poor little fellas, yeah, they've been a long time since they've seen any lubrication. So we'll take this out, clean him up, just the compressor, and yeah, there's some rubbish inside. Okay, and this, be nice if this came off, which I think it does. I think it's only a push-on coupling. Yep. So if we take him off, and now we can remove the front. Boy, yeah, just baked on grease. This one, these pretty well the same, but I wanted to go back the same way. So just marking front on that one. And all these are riveted together, so it's only a matter of washing all this out and then soaking some oil in there. These bearings, they're slightly porous, so the oil will soak in there and it's a self-lubricating. I mean, it's been in there since 1963, so it's done pretty well. Okay, but we've just got to clean both of them up. As you can see, they look the same, but we'll just put them back the way they were. Okay, well, that's it for the motor, the shaft and everything. Yeah, we'll clean all this up. There's some gunk around the end of him. Yeah. And there's your motor. This is a fairly hefty little motor just to change channels. All right, we'll be back. We'll do some cleaning up and come back and we'll put him together and test him out. So what I'm doing here is I've oiled this one. I've cleaned up these bearings. They look pretty good. And now in between the sandwich in here, there's a felt pad. And what we like to do is pour some oil in around a generous amount of oil, not too much. That will sink into the pad, and after a while, it sinks. The bush is actually porous, and the oil sinks into it and lubricates the bearing. Okay, now this thing probably hasn't been oiled ever. So now we'll clean up the shaft and see how it runs in these. And as you can see, a fair bit of dirt and grime in there. This should run fine once it's done. A little bit of grubby stuff around the outside. I'll just take him off as well. And like all my stuff I clean, I'm using my wife's makeup remover. Great little pads. If you're looking for something cheap and does the job, it saves using lots and lots of rag or paper towel, whatever you're using. And yeah, these can fit in a spot. They're just handy. Okay. That looks pretty good, don't you think? Okay, let's put one in a bearing here. Now, this is the front. Which bearing was the front? He's the one with an F for front on him. And there he is there. That's him. Oh, look at that. How neatly does that run? Now, there's my phone again. Okay. Stand by. I'll be back to see how the back one's going to go. Marvellous. What a difference a little bit of oil makes, doesn't it? Using just light duty Singer sewing machine oil. And yeah, that's going to be lovely. That's going to turn nice. Right, let's put him together. So, as we know, this was the front. Okay, we'll put this fella in here first. Push him in. Okay. Okay. We'll now put these bolts through, like so. Couple of spring washers on the back. Couple of little nuts. I'll just push this fella out of the way a little bit here. Oh boy, made him fairly tight. Right, he's all put back together. Spins very, very easily now. Now, got one of these things called a def cord. I don't know why they call them that, but you shouldn't be doing these things like this. So if you're not up to date with electrical and how electricity works and how dangerous it is doing something like this, don't do it. Okay, so now I'm on the dim bulb and that's connected up. Put a few volts in and there she goes. That's turning nicely. And we'll give her a bit more juice. We're drawing quite a bit of juice. 45 watts going there. We'll let him run there for a little while, let the bearings settle in, let the oil circulate, do its job, and we'll come back in 15 minutes and then we'll start on the other bit, this bit that's totally seized. Now with this piece, I think I'll start with the top one here that the motor engages to. As you can see, a little bit of metal on him. Oh, hang on a minute, I'll give you some light, eh? How's that? Bit of metal, and he's folded over to stop the nut coming undone, as just in case. So we'll just bend under the nut and get this top fella out. We'll just do these one that way. Oh, well, it's just as easy. At least we don't get lost on the way, which is probably the point in your train of thought. Okay, here we go. Bend him down, and we'll see just how seized up he is. There we go. Right, and looks like that fella comes out of the inside of this somehow. Not real sure, guys, how all this works. There we go. Take that little fella off, and he has a little tab there that goes in the top to stop this turning as well. Yeah. If we can drop this fella out, we may have to get, I think we do, I think we have to get the other gears off. I might have started at the wrong end. Perhaps we start with this one, this one, this one, this one. Is it going to come out? Oh yeah, there he comes. Right. Okay. Boy. Very greasy. Yeah. Not in a good way at all. Yeah. Now, the part that's got me intrigued is how this actually engages with the motor. Like, what? I don't quite understand this. How does that turn with that fella engaged? It looks like there should be something between them, like a rubber tube or something like that. I don't know. We're going to have a little bit closer look, and I think I have a manual on this whole assembly. So, yeah, I think that might be the place to start. Okay, I'll go and round that up. But that doesn't make sense as to how that engages with that. And there's nothing here you can put together wrong. That's just how it goes. Yeah, very interesting. Or does the pin in the center of this supposed to push down or up? Is it on a spring or something? Maybe that's the case. Maybe this pin and this gear. Well, yeah. Anyway, we'll round up some bits and pieces, and yeah, once again, I'll be back. Okay, well, we've done a bit of cleaning up. Motor still works beautifully, and we've cleaned the clutch assembly up. Now, I want to show you how this little unit works, because this is quite ingenious, actually. Probably a lot of you may know how these work, but for the people that don't, and I didn't, it's very interesting. Okay, this is the little tab that was to keep everything in place under the washer, which I showed you. Now, this fella, this fitted in there, and that's our drive. Okay, so that's all fairly straightforward. But it was in here. What we had in here, after much, much soaking in white spirits to soften up the grease that had jammed that little spring, this little cap, there's my phone again, this little cap that was in the end of him. Now, I've freed all this up and cleaned him up. Okay, so the spring has got tension on there. This sits in here like so. Okay, so you've just got a little bit of tension there. Now, can you see this? I hope so. When this motor goes into gear, it pulls forward like so. The center peg goes on that little spring and engages and turns. And when it stops, the motor goes back and disengages and just runs around freely. So that is the mystery. I couldn't work out how this was coupled to this. Well, in actual fact, it's not coupled. It's that little spring in there. This centerpiece in this nylon was actually jammed solid. I had to very gently get some pliers on this to get this little plunger out of the, well, it's not all nylon. There's a metal sleeve in there. Okay, so that that was that was jamming it, and I couldn't work it out because this wouldn't move. And I thought, well, if this hits this and it was sitting flush, it still wouldn't go into gear. But in actual fact, it pushes down like so, off the peg of the motor. Okay, so that mystery solved. Let's put a little dab of oil on the end of him. A little dab of oil, well, I don't know, I'd say a little very small smear of oil on the plunger, and we can then remount this fellow back in and, yeah, check him out and get on with the next one of these, which is also jammed. Okay, so there's the mystery solved. Okay, now what I've decided to do, this is very hard to get in underneath this gear. So I think we're going to take this gear out, then that one, then that one. They do have to come out in sequence. We can't get this one out for this one. This one won't come out for this one. So let's undo this one to start with. And we've got a circlip on there. And yeah, it's a little bit hard to turn, but not too bad. There's a little spring that operates a lever here for your contacts, which no doubt we'll be cleaning down the track. But for the moment, we'll disengage that spring. Okay, and does he come off? Yes. Okay, and we'll give him a bit of a clean up as well. We've also got another little fella here, but he won't worry us for the moment. That is also for another set of contacts up here. I'm not sure of the purpose of that switch. It's probably a channel start, channel stop. But yeah, it does hit on these. So yeah, I'm not certain. But anyway, let's get this fellow, get him off here. So if we turn him around, boy, he's hard to turn. That is really hard to turn. Let's get some circlip pliers onto that fella. Okay, we'll see if this works. Got an extension on mine, so it gives us a bit more purchase. And nearly got him. Here we go. Right, that's certainly a very tight circlip. Okay, now our centre wants to drop out, which is good, which is this fella. There's no timing or anything with any of this, so don't have to worry too much about that. And once again, very sticky, doesn't want to come out easily. Yuck. Yeah. There's none of the, well, I think it's one of those clutch assemblies. Maybe it is, maybe it's not, but yeah. She's been in there a while. Okay, we'll get the bearing out as well here. We've got to clean all this up. We may as well do the lot. The old grease has been on here a while. Okay, he's popped out, no worries. Almost as though it was spring loaded, but it's not. Just want to get that screw out. Because you know that these screws disappear when you don't keep an eye on them. Certainly needed doing. Now, we'll do one by one here. So with that, we'll take this fella out now and I'll clean him up, lube him up, ready to put back in. We can put the bearing in, but not the wheel until we do these other two. Okay, so we'll go and clean this up. So we've cleaned up this fella now. Cleaned the outside of this bearing assembly, and yeah, as you can see, that's how he should run. And our little clutch assembly that goes on the back. You probably can't hear me because I haven't got my microphone on. Now I have. Yeah, this little clutch assembly, clean him all up. Now what I'll do with the bearing is I'll put a smear of lithium grease. So when we come to putting this back together, I'll show you what I'm doing. But anyway, that's that one now done. So now we'll move on to the next one in the series here of that fella. Okay, that is, boy, I don't know how I'll get that out. That is extremely tight. Can I move him with this? It just, boy, that is really, really tight. They should be very, very free. Okay, let's get him out, and we may have to put a little bit of heat on this to melt the grease a little bit in there. I'll show you what I'm doing with that anyway. Okay, that's one next. All right, we'll get our circlip off. Now, that should push out fairly freely. He's in underneath this. Hang on a minute. Oh boy, looks like we've got to take. Oh no, he'll bend up enough to get the gear out. Just got to be careful we don't bend him too far. Okay, so I should be able to push on that, and he should come out. Let's get a little bit of heat and do a job on him to get him out. Now what I use, small gas torch, it's only a little fella, and just a fairly small flame. You probably can't see the flame real well. That'll be enough. And let's gently heat the bearing itself. We don't want to heat it so that it melts the nylon on the other side. Okay, is he coming out? Yep, there he goes. Okay, cut the heat. And yep, now can we get him out? Oh, nearly. Yes. There we go. We didn't bend him too far. Oh, sorry, you might have missed that. Wasn't watching the camera. There's our grease. Yeah, certainly dried up. This one hardly turns either. So let's get this bearing out next and clean these two fellas up. Shifter. Do your tools disappear in your workshop like mine do? Every time we go to look for something, it's disappeared. It seems to be getting worse as I get older. They must be running away from me. Oh, he doesn't want to budge either. Okay, we'll have to put a grippy on the back to stop him turning. Okay, luckily he's got a nut on the back of him as well. There we go. Oh, he's not easy either. Chunks of dried grease coming out of this. Oh boy. Okay. There's our next bearing out. Yeah. He's he's certainly tight. You put him in that far and you almost can't turn him. Okay, we'll go and clean this one up next. And we're back. I always forget to put my mic on. We're back and he's all cleaned up. Bearings cleaned up. Circlip, and what's this? How's that? That is supposed to how it runs in the bearing. Right, that one's done. So we'll put him over there and then get on to this one, which actually doesn't turn either. Just, boy, what I can't work out, and probably going to think the same, why hasn't it stripped one of these gears? I would say initially the motor clutch has seized up and wouldn't go into gear, and after a while of standing these have frozen. Because if that motor's got a fair amount of torque, if it clicked into gear it would probably strip these gears. So yeah, it's good that that didn't happen. Now this fella, the same process as the other one. Screwdriver is just a little bit too big for these clips. Same process. Pull him off, clip off, heat him, and gradually push him out once he heats. It's a lot better than trying to struggle with things. If I don't know whether you guys do this, but very easy to. There we go. Look at that. Once the grease is heated, it comes soft and straight out. And yeah, we're looking at the same scenario as the last one. So we'll get this fella out, and hopefully this one will come out a bit easier. No, he doesn't want to. There we go. The actual dry grease is also in on the nut of the bearing. Right. There we go. All out. So while we've got this apart, we'll also do the contacts here of this little solenoid, check the solenoid, replace probably, well, we won't replace him, we'll check that cap, we'll clean the contacts on these switches, and we're back, and we've got the third one done. And look at that. A little bit better than what he was. Just got to clean up a few of the teeth, a little bit of grease on a couple of teeth. And yeah, that's them done. So now the next job, as I said, before I put them in, clean up a bit of this, clean up this solenoid, check it out, and do these. Okay, we'll be back soon. Righto, guys. Well, we've taken a couple of screws out of these. Little solenoid here. This fancy little switch, which more or less tells it when to go, when not to go. He bounces out of his socket there. He's just held in with a spring, but that makes it very handy to be able to do our contacts. They're very burnt, so they've had lots of use. So we're going to clean them up with a bit of very fine wet and dry. This fella is our solenoid, so he's the thing that pushes these fellas into gear and tells it when to go, when to turn. Not real sure about the solenoid yet. We'll check him out, see what happens. I'll put 12 volts across here. I don't know whether it's AC or DC, but anyway, it's not connected to anything, so we'll be using DC. And just make sure the centre pole is moving freely. It does look like it's sort of a little bit bound up there, but anyway, we'll hook up the power supply now and see. Then we'll do these contacts, put this bit back together, then we'll do these ones. We'll test him here. Yes, works lovely. Oh, yes, that's working very nicely. Now, pull him out. So, yes, our solenoid is working fine. That does look a little bit corroded, a little bit of rust in there. So we'll just we'll put a cotton bud in there with a bit of metho or something on him to just clean the inside. Do that bit. We'll clean these fellas and then put this bit back together. Then we'll get on to this. Not too bad, actually. Now, maybe on the contacts here, on this thing, gee, they certainly want to move around. I may use one of these cotton buds and some Brasso. Might be a little bit more gentle than wet and dry. Now, for a while there, I thought this was pitted. I don't think he is. It's certainly coming up nice. They're in pretty good order, actually. Now I'm just using, these are cotton buds or whatever you call them in your country, with a little bit of Brasso metal polish. And that certainly looks good. We'll get a dry one and we'll wipe him off. Now, when we've done this, we'll get also some contact cleaner and clean the contacts. It's more or less a isopropyl alcohol-based cleaner. We don't want any residue of the polish left on there. And they certainly come up very well. Hope you guys can see that. I'm a little bit restricted, but yeah, that's what they look like. Okay, let's have a look. There's our contacts. So this one flips up, that one flips down. And if the relay pushes up, it pushes that one up. Or this one flips them both down. There you go. There's a very crude mechanism. Right, this one next. Now, I don't think I'm going to take him off here Things could happen. It's multi-layer, so yeah, I'm just going to clean the contacts the best I can there, where in situ, where it is. Okay, let's do that. Now, guys, what I'm using here is just I've got two. Is just a piece of cardboard cut off an old business card, actually. Um, all I'm going to do is put some spray on this and rub it in between. That's fine for cleaning them. Now, so you can see there, a little bit difficult. I think you guys can see what's happening there. Just pushing them together, cleaning. Okay, so probably not a good idea to, on small contacts like this, to put wet and dry. If they're badly pitted, well, you can, but no, they look pretty good. So that's what we're looking at. You sort of can't see the contacts in there, but yeah, that's where they are. All right. Well, I think that's it for this. We can start putting it all back together. We've done what we can. We'll give him a grease and oil change on the bearings, so forth. So I'm going to have a coffee and a bite to eat. I'll have dinner. It's what is it? It's around about 5:30 in the afternoon. So yeah, it might be time, as they say, put the feed bag on. I'm getting a little bit peckish. I think I'll do a barbecue tonight. So yeah, we've got some lamb steaks. I think that could be quite nice. All right, we'll catch us in the morning and we'll continue putting gear in here. Okay, see you then. Right, I think it's time to put this thing back together. So we'll start from the opposite end of where we took things apart. We'll do this gear, and then the big gear. Because otherwise you can't get one over the top of the other or underneath the other. So we'll start with the bush. We'll go in to the first hole. And put him in. Now, I've got a socket here that actually fits in, which is a bit handier than shifters. There we go. We'll do the second one, same way. We can put the bushes in, it's just that we can't put the gears in because of the overlapping situation. When we put these in, we'll just put probably a smidgen of oil just on them. I don't think I'll put grease on these. A smidgen of oil will. I don't know. I might just check in the manual and see if it recommends grease. There we go. Right, and the third one is our flange for the big wheel over there. Our actual big fella that turns the tuner. It pays to have lots of photos of things, of how you take them apart, and or videos. I've got lots of both. So very handy to be able to look back and say, oh yeah, that's how it all come apart. You don't make many mistakes putting them back together then. Okay, let's put number 3. I've got him marked under there. when I took him apart. He goes in on the bottom, like so. And we put the C-clip on this side of him. Now, I might just smear a very small amount of very light grease on this fella, I think. Okay. I do have some light grease. Now, if you know me, I like using these things. Cotton buds, swabs, whatever you want to call them. I use lots of them for all sorts of things. Okay, that's it's just a very light grease, and I think it'll be advisable to put that on rather than oil. Oil will dissipate and go away. This fellow will hold in there. Okay, we have a C-clip on there. There is no washer. There is just the C-clip. So we'll get some pliers, or E-clips if you want to call them E-clips. A lot of people do that. A lot of people call them E-clips. There we go. And yeah, certainly turns a lot easier than the first one. Okay, we'll do the same for number 2. And we've got to get this little arm here above him. I think from memory we lifted this fellow up as high as you go there and slip. Oh, gee, that's a tight fit. Okay, running nice. Okay, this fella now. No, we may not. We won't go that fella. We'll go this little end bloke. This fella here, we just bend the side of him up so that it doesn't move. But the thing is that that nut probably will never move. But anyway, we'll bend him up and bend him over. There we go. And you can see, come on, focus up. Oh, he doesn't want to focus. But anyway, you get the picture. Let's put the big fella in. This fella turns around a fair few times, so he needs, well, so do the other fellas, but yeah, there's a little bit of weight with this, so some light grease right around him. Pop him in, like so. Okay. And he spins nice and freely. Now this one, this is our C-clip. That's not an E-clip. Okay, as I was telling you beforehand. And for some reason, my camera just will not autofocus there today. What's going on? These fellas, you may remember us getting this off, putting them in the same way around, spread him out, slip him over there and in. And pretty sure that's in. No, he's not quite. Nearly. There he goes. Okay, he's snapped into place. Can't show you as much with the camera not focusing at the moment. I don't know quite what's going on with it. Nope, it doesn't want to focus. Okay, but anyway, you get the picture. That's what's happening. A little coupling goes there that couples onto the tuner. He pushes in nice and firm, and that turns out tuna. This fella, that little cam comes around, the little peg there goes this way, and the little peg will turn the tuna around. Turns around, clicks him over one, so forth. Okay, just like that. What we've got now is this little fella and a spring. Now, who remembers where that goes? I'll probably have to look at my photos, but I'm pretty sure. Right, guys, well, we found out where he went just from the pictures of the video. The spring just goes, down in there, loops around, and sits in the top of this switch assembly, or the base of the switch assembly. So he just comes around and, pushes these switch, closes these contacts here when that finger comes around, and, well, it actually opens them. They're normally closed, and he opens them. Okay, so let's get on to the next thing. I checked the cap, no problems. He's spot on. He's a little styro cap, so they don't give much problem. These wires here, just want to do a little bit of tidying up, put them in place so they don't ever move. Like so. That's done. Nearly motor time, I think. Now our motor sits in here, not on this assembly, and this fella, our little gear. Now I'm going to bring you fellas a little bit closer here. You're too far away. Yeah, sorry about that. Like, that looks a bit better, doesn't it? Right. I'm just not sure about the focusing system here. What's happening? Yeah, which is a little bit odd. Just a minute. I'll pause and see if I can fix that. Well, that was a bit strange, guys. To restart the phone. Very odd. Okay, this little fella, little gear, he's got some oil, drops in the back, and he turns, he easily turns, like you've almost got to breathe on that, and he turns around. That's good. Okay, let's get the motor and let's sit him on here and see if we can then put some power on him and see if everything turns okay. All right, let's do it. Okay, let's put the motor on. Now, where's our... Just in there. And you can see how that little fella in the centre there presses on that little button and pushes him down. That's the part that certainly was a little bit confusing for a while, but yeah, we've worked him out. I was going to put these on the terminal block here, which is that one over there, the end one, and which is the loose one, and this one here. But I want to be able to hook power to this to test it at the moment. So we'll leave that for the moment. Nearly up to testing stage, I think. We've got to work out what happens here when all this goes around. Is it all going to go okay? And I think so. Okay. All looks okay. Let's get... but we'll be running this through a dim bulb, through a variac, and we'll start up gently. We don't need any teeth flying off the gears or anything like that. So, yeah, let me set up the variac and get a few volts on there. Okay, we'll set up the death cord. Death cord of doom and gloom. Make sure that they're out of the way. Okay, now I want to give you guys a first-hand look at this. So, yeah, once again, the camera works a bit ordinary there, but there we go. Now, we shall turn dim bulb on, and we will go both lamps, and let's put a few volts into him. Here we go. And we're away. How are we going there? Look at that, guys. Isn't that a work of art? Yes, we've got no switching and all this yet, but gee, that's looking good. Actually, through the dim bulb, she was drawing a little bit too much juice to get it going, to flick it over. So, yeah, that's why I was a little bit hesitant to start. But, yeah, there she is. We'll let him run there for a little bit to make sure everything is right. Incredible. Okay, for you guys that are very interested in this, bring us in a little bit closer if we can. There we go. What a work of art. Yeah. All right. We're going to end this video now. Now that we've got this bit working, we'll put it with the next video when we put it together. But first of all, before we put it together, this on, we have to remove the tuner and clean all the biscuits and everything on the tuner. So, yeah, until next time, guys, if you're enjoying this, if you like this thing, just sitting there going around, give us a thumbs up. If you want to follow me, please subscribe, hit the bell so you'll be notified when the next video comes up. But until then, I think I'll just keep watching this. So from me, bye for now. Amazing.